Hello. I was asked recently why I don't say greetings anymore. Well, actually, I do. Pretty much from my own experience, certainly countries in Europe, and I should imagine certainly South America and probably most of the world, if you knew nothing of the language, if you said hello, it would be readily understood as a greeting. I've explained this before, but hello basically is the first four letters that I've taken from motets that Bruckner set various verses in Latin to music. So the A is Asperger's me, which means purify me. Locus iste means this place, right here. What's the other one? Libera me means free me. And os justi means the voice of God, the mouth of God. So it's a sort of greeting that expresses a bit more. Now, I've talked before about flow being facts, logic, and organic wisdom. Organic wisdom, I mean, is what you internalize and how it unfolds if you go with the flow. But I'd like also to look at something, actually, think about what today is. It's not sort of celebrated in the UK, but in the United States, today is Thanksgiving, so I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. But think about that. Think about that. What is sort of taken as with as much sort of real, genuine, heartfelt meaning as an emoji, like a like on a social media post. It's pretty meaningless. Or a computer-generated happy birthday. No sort of real thought and no creativity put behind it. But thanksgiving. So let's change the words. What about, instead of thanks, what about saying gratitude and giving? Let's change that to benevolence. Because it is all about, as far as I know, this thing with Thanksgiving, it's all about being grateful for what you have, therefore being in the moment. And the giving is the benevolence, appreciating what you've got and then putting out from that feeling. It's an exchange of energy in a positive way. Obviously, in the material sense and the commercialism, it's now been sort of perverted into sort of basically gorging yourself and the coming together of family, the familiar. But what if we take the vowel L out of familiar? You're left with the consonants, the constants that are always there. So the letters F, M, L and R. So I'm going to suggest 4 spells that those 4 letters can be used to create. They are faith, magnitude, logical, and radical. They share a common denominator. They all have the same letter right in the middle, the I. So you've got faith, F-A-I-T-H. Logical, you've got log, then an I, and then C, all. So you're logging everything, you're being the observer, and you're seeing all, both internally and and externally. Magnitude implies magnetic. The N represents the sine wave, the rising, the falling, the constant vertical motion. You'll see it on a heart monitor, for example. The tude, well, it's 2U, deity energy, effectively. The radical, well, RAD, and C all in the middle is I again. But let's turn now to faith. What is faith? It has I right in the middle of it. To the left of it is far, from where you get the word pharaoh, which means tyrant. It's on the left side, the bit that should be left behind. It refers to the material realm. On the other side of that is T and H. On the right side of faith is T and H. As I've said on previous videos, the T is a glyph that represents the I at its highest level. The H represents the duality that is bridged, the two ones and that horizontal line that sits in the middle. Another expression of this, magnetically speaking, think of the hourglass, that dielectric right in the middle. Now, if you see it as a two-dimensional image, you're basically, it's expressed also with like Kundalini rising. You've got on that outline, you've got basically two sort of waves. So they sort of represent serpents, and I'm sure you've seen where you've got the twin caduceus that rises up, and then they meet eye to eye. When you bring them into balance, so it's like the two eyes and then the mind's eye that sits above, forming a pyramid, forming a triangle, forming a trinity. Now the word radical, that's exactly what Neville Goddard talks about. That is what repentance is. It is a radical change of mindset. It is being opened to new possibilities and new ideas. What will become apparent from all this is the sheer magnitude. Now, if you want to understand about magnets, I suggest you go and listen to Ken Wheeler on Theora Apophasis channel, where he will put it in the most simple terms what a magnet is, all the aspects of it, how it has the hourglass and the dielectric inside. Interesting word, dielectric. Because when it's externalized, it does become a trick. It can be used to fool you with the externals. If you think about it in terms of words, the words that we create, the disturbances we put out in the ether, for example. Now, when you move to different regions, even in a nation, there are things called dialects. So they put slightly different emphasis, slightly different accents. I've discussed on the playlist called Rage in Eden, where I've given you a sort of an explanation of the esoteric meaning of the Ultravox album Rage in Eden, and how the word ascent and accent have different meanings. But musically speaking, an accent is when you put a stress on a particular symbol. And this external reality will certainly try and put accents and stresses upon you if you allow them. I refer you back to the Manly P. Hall lecture on magnetic fields in the human body for this one. I've made a few notes here. So, I was listening to another Neville Goddard lecture that Brian Scott read, called God is a Protean Being. And I couldn't help but hear the similarity between the words protein, proton, and protean. The first element is hydrogen, the hidden red generation. It's in everything. Anyway, so I thought I'd do a very quick sort of Wikipedia type sort of search, see what comes up for proton. So it is a stable subatomic particle occurring in all atomic nuclei with a positive electric charge equal in magnitude to that of an electron. Now, I'm not talking about the science, I'm talking about the facts that are presented using Wiki, the fountain of all knowledge. But remember, we're in a world of duality, and I'd also refer you to the most recent Manly P. Hall, one of the most recent Manly P. Hall lectures on Atlantis from the Roman and Egyptian perspective, I think it was. We talked about science and archaeology and talking about where there are no artifacts, no archaeological facts, but through reasoning, logical, we can deduce, we can do retroduction, and we can observe things and we can weigh them up inside ourselves. We're in this strange thing that appears to be duality. Now, if you are puzzled and amazed by the external world, you really don't understand it, because it all makes perfect sense. But if you go without and you look outside of yourself, you will go without and you will be amazed. You will be wandering around a maze. It's called Egypt in the Bible. It's the material world. You'll be just wandering around that desert, not knowing which direction to go to without a compass. And I mentioned this one before, but it's worth showing again. Here's one I prepared earlier, as it were. The symbol of Earth. Now, it should be quite apparent when you look at that symbol and you ask yourself, where are the four corners of the Earth? Well, they're right in the middle, are they not? It symbolically is saying to you to go within. I mean, if you look externally and picture things in an external fashion, people think of the Earth being sort of basically like a table with four legs, four pillars. But the four corners of the Earth, as you can see in that symbol, is right in the centre point, which is exactly what you are, whether you know it or not. So, going back, find my page again. Oh dear. It's all gone horribly wrong. Let's try again with this book. Dear oh dear. I apologise. So in this material realm, you see you have, as I've said before, you have on the one side you have the I am. On the other side, the external world, you have the Maya, the reflection. And although you may not be able to see it, but everything external of you is that veil that you wish to cut through, to see things as they really are, because that external world may appear to be real, and it certainly appears real to the five senses. If I was to pinch my skin, I would have a sensation through the nerve endings that gives me the sort of sensation to say ow, for example. And it is made to feel real, if you think about it, in this reality. Real is an interesting word. It consists of three things. It is, because things just are. It is. It's now, because that's all there is. The present moment and you are a presence in the present, how you present yourself, and what sort of presence you wish to present yourself as in this present moment. See how many ways of saying that same sound with a slight different spell, but it's all the same thing. So is, so we're talking about now, and we have this perception of these twin caduceus, the sort of angel and demon, as Ra and El. So is Ra El? It's like a question. It's a finding out which one's telling the truth, which one's lying to you, which is basically your lower ego, your lower I consciousness that is trying to convince you that this is reality, you are the physical body, you are your opinions, you are your beliefs. But they are without faith, without the I that is right in the middle of faith. So, yeah, I digressed a little bit. So if on the one side of faith, or the one side of the I, you have Fa, the Fa, if we change the spell, we change the symbols of the T and the H, the opposite of Fa is near. So you've got a Pharaoh, and you've got a Nero. So what is Nero? Well, I looked that one up, and it comes from the Latin. It means powerful, and it means strong, and it also has been combined to mean black. So it implies the Nero, the near, is something that is inside you, because God is closer than at hand. It is the Creator inside you. Now, the world may not seem to make sense to you, but when you have this inner standing and this realization from doing that inner work and going through your reformation, where you remember yourself, in other words, you are putting yourself back together metaphysically, so you can operate and co-create in this reality. The near, it's that black hole sun, it's hidden. When we talk about bringing things into the light, well, let's look at the blueprint pattern of this. I have an idea, I give it to an architect. I may have to wait a specific amount of time, and from that idea comes a solid manifestation in the form of a building. Now, the creator of the idea and the architect of that blueprint, and even the builder, are all one. They may appear to be in different forms, because it's this word protein, or proton, or protein. Now, in the external reality, it's all about protein in food, but remember, we're in the world of Maya. We'll just give you the definition of that. A protein tending or able to change frequently. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Protein. Any of a class of nitrogenous organic compounds which have large molecules composed of one or more long chains of amino acids and are an essential part of living organisms. Essential, where you've got energy, spirit, and it's sent, I, all. It's essential, it's your essence. And a protein, tending or able to change frequently or easily, able to do many different things, versatile, readily assuming different forms of characters, extremely variable, changeable in shape or character, able to play many kinds of roles. Well, basically, if you think about it, is that not a description of the one? Now, think of this also with the childlike wonder. Think of a young girl, she's got a doll's house, she's got these little effigies, these wooden figures that represent mummy and daddy, and she recreates, she becomes those characters, she probably vocalizes and has conversations between the mummy and daddy and the baby. Little wooden figures or plastic figures, and she plays all the parts. But did she create the doll's house? Did she create those little characters or anything to do with that toy? That is the creator in yet a different form. Through a manufacturing process, another version of the one will have created that, another version of the one will have designed that, and so on and so on. So that child is just it's like the hairs, the heirs, that are attached to something greater. We are all like the individual hairs, the individual strands, but we are all connected, we are all part of. Therefore, we also have the same ability. So, this realm might not seem to make sense, but for very good reason. That imagine that if everybody worked out that they have this power to co-create, what would they create? Because they haven't done the inner work and they haven't brought about an internal peace, a balance within themselves. So we are like magnets, so it will go out as chaos, because it won't be the right energy, it will be the wrong serpent. But think about that dielectric, the hourglass. What do you do with an hourglass? You flip the polarity. So therefore you have that radical change, that repentance inside oneself. It's not about being sorrowful and going round self-flagellating and all that sort of ridiculous nonsense, that sort of cult mumbo-jumbo ritual practices of barbarism, which, if you look at the spiritual meaning of everything and how, when it is externalized, take circumcision, for example. There's a prime example: female genital mutilation and circumcision. They're just barbaric processes which totally contradict with, if you were made perfect, you would not need to be modified. As it says in the book of the knowledge of good and evil, nothing was added and nothing was taken away. But so why does man think it knows better? It centers around also that word elected, and from that you also get electron, which, according to the wiki entry, an electron is a negatively charged subatomic particle. Well, the atom is the atom. So a subatomic, what's behind that? What created that? What formed the atoms? Well, that's the one, the hydrogen, the hidden one, the hidden red one. I'm not going to even get into the whole thing about demiurge and that. I've explained that before. But a demiurge, basically, if you split it down, demi means half or semi. An urge is like when you have a desire. So if you have a demiurge, it's a half-hearted attempt. You're not putting your all into everything. And you'll find that if you do this imagination creates reality, that blueprint of idea to physical manifestation. And the beauty of this whole thing, when you're doing it in a benevolent way, when you are grateful for the discovery within oneself of that, so you have the thanks and now you're giving the benevolence. I can prove this because in my mind I created a picture and I messaged this, so this can be proven. I messaged Julia from Simplicity Revealed channel and I said, I can foresee you have 4 fruit trees, if you've not already got them. Well, she messaged me this morning and said the first 4 into the car that they bought were 4 mangoes. I mean, how beautiful is that? And look at the beautiful unfolding. Think of it like you're watching the back of a clock or a pocket watch and all those cogs and the way things will just click into place. Julia went on a local Facebook group, and it turns out that the general consensus of the best place to buy fruit trees and things are actually quite close to where she is on this intentional community that she's setting up, or has set up in Portugal, and it is beginning to grow, and in turn they are now able to grow. I have already seen a video, probably with Eugene and with Julia, where they're showing you these trees that they've now planted and starting this intentional community and started to grow their own food. It's like a vision of the future. The testimony you will be the witnesses to, because if you go on Simplicity Revealed channel in the next few days, I'm pretty certain that you will see this come about. But how beautiful. Just look at that. There's the Thanksgiving. You're grateful for what you've got. You're now putting out an intention that is benevolent. It's an exchange of energy. I'm not expecting to get anything. There's no expectations for myself. This is not self-serving. This is an intention, using this co-creation ability to help someone else. Yes, I've put a judgment on it, let's be honest, because it is one where I recognize one, because it is a recognition of what is called, what I call soul recognition. You recognize those that are on the same frequency. So like magnets, you are drawn to be benevolent and put out good intentions, good wishes in particular, to those that are on the same frequency. Because we are of the same soul family, we have recognized we are of the same soul family. It is a coming together because we are all one. So I am wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, and may you hear and be able to see, internalize what Thanksgiving really means, but also look at the story in the external that is given to you. You've got founding fathers, you've got the land of the free. Well, look at another, look at the religion, what is described as the Father. It's all encoded. What are the United States? We're not talking about a physical location. We're talking about the United States of mind, the United States of feeling within oneself. You move out of the land of Egypt. Jip means theft. It's a theft of your energy, a theft of your God energy when you are in this material realm of Egypt, when you need to step into is real. My God is real. It is that one within you, that self-recognition of finding that true Christ consciousness power that is within you, that you raise up inside yourself, that reforms you. You can co-create, you can create in this reality without any of that, but a little bit of knowledge can be a dangerous thing. And also look at the difference between selected and elected. Elect dead. Those that, as Ken Wheeler says, those that, by very definition, those that want to have power over you, that is evil. You only need to have power over yourself, and then you are selected. It is something, an internal process that goes on within you, because before the elect, there is the S of spirit. So it's a spiritual rising within inside yourself. But the elected is when you are giving your power away and you're saying, yes, you can have power over me. I refer you back to the Manly P. Hall and the magnetic fields in the human being. Because if you let something penetrate your informed field that you do not wish to be there, you are not creating the world around you as you wish it to be. You're allowing something to come in that is something that you don't like. or your perception of it is you don't agree with that, or it is not feeling right to you. So why let it in? There is nothing to say that you have to open the door if something knocks on it. That is your free will, and there is a discernment of what you could come into your world, because it will affect your world. Look at the dynamics also when you're in a group of people. One leaves, somebody new comes in, and it changes the whole dynamics of the group. Think about that with the external world and what it's presenting and what it's trying to get you to feel. So internalize everything and find that balance, that harmony within inside yourself. Wow, we've gone up to 30 minutes here. That's plenty long enough. And a lot in there, so I wish you all a wonderful Thanksgiving.